next presentation, which is with Ritesh Rathy. He's already here with us. So, hi Ritesh, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How about you?
I'm good too. Thank you so much for asking. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ritesh Rathy is working as a senior data scientist at Grab, and he's a professional, has an experience in the area of applied machine learning and data sciences, and he has delivered intelligent software solutions using machine learning. And he will be speaking on the methods for networking instructions detection. So, Ritesh, over to you. You can start your presentation after sharing your screen.
Sure. Thanks a lot. I'm sharing the screen. Let me know if it's visible for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good luck. Stage
Okay.
is all
So
yours
today's
now.
sure. Today's topic is more on applying deep learning method for network intrusion detection systems. So as we know, like security has been a key requirement for any organization, and to detect those attacks is a preliminary uh, step to identify or to mitigate the different attacks and spurious activities. So going ahead with that, we have seen network attacks, what they like we have seen most of the different layers, those are vulnerable, and we have these, so attackers exploit these vulnerability and apply multiple different attacks. So information security is a major domain. Then inside that we have cyber security, and network security is a sub part of that. Now inside cyber security we can have another area wherein OS security, or we have a malware detection. These kind of various areas are there. Today I'll be covering more on the network specific attacks. So at each of different layer, here I have specified multiple layers and different attacks that are possible. So this is physical layer wherein attacker can break the physical media, do the signal jamming and avoid the communication. In data link layer, they can have repeated frame header flood. So flooding is a major attack there that can be possible. In networking layer, we have small attack wherein we can have teardrop wherein the connection, the TCP connection can be dropped, or in ICMP flood wherein if the attacker is sending various ICMP request messages and flooding the whole pipeline. In transport, we have majorly SYN flood, UDP flood attacks, the man in the mirror attack, wherein user can easily spoof the system. Application layer, we have slow post or slow loris. These are a couple of distributed denial of service attacks that are present at each application layer. Now, what people use, they use different tools, available tools like Ncrack, Kane, and Able. These are a couple of tools that people use these days to specify the attack activity on a victim machine. So, in general, we have these kind of phases wherein for a attack, people first get the reconnaissance, wherein they get the information on the target, like what OS they are running on, what kind of network it is. In weaponization, they introduce or take the malware and then send some mail like associated with some PDF or some mysterious file. And then in case of delivery, once a user install that specific malware into the system, then it get delivered to all of that network, and exploitation is the next step wherein the weapons code is triggered for the exploiting that vulnerability, and maybe the shell access is received by the attacker machine so that they can do some other mischievous stuff. And then couple of command and control. So once a command and control is given, now they have the full control of the systems wherein they can destroy the couple of files or couple of data. They can spoof the data. They can get the intricate information from the data that is basically confidential for for any organization. So this is the way the normal attack happens. Now, in terms of global cost of cybercrime, as we see, it has been increasing day by day. In 2021, we have $6 billion as a global cost for cybercrimes, and in subsequent years, we see to be increasing exponentially. So these are the couple of attacks. Now, what intrusion detection systems are? They are the method which are used to identify the malicious actions that compromise the integrity, confidentiality, and availability of the resources over a network, over a machine. We can talk about. So if we are talking about over the network, then we call it network intrusion detection. If we are talking about single host, we call it a host-based intrusion detection. What challenges are? Majorly what the detection accuracy, because in the accuracy side we can have more false alarms. So to reduce these false alarms is a major challenge here, because as we know, the attack classes or attack data is very limited, but the normal scenario we have huge data. Detection speed, how fast we are detecting, like suppose attack happens. So to avoid these subsequent activities or the phases of the attack, how fast we are able to detect and stop the intruder. Dynamic nature of attacks, like how many kind of different attacks we are detecting. Are we able to detect the zero-day attack, which has not been previously known by the system? Types, we have signature based and anomaly based. In signature based, we have fixed signature for each different attack. Let's suppose in case of ICMP flood, let's suppose we have a huge rate of ICMP packets generated. So this is one kind of signature. In case of anomaly based, we have we see what if there is anomaly on the or the outlier presence from the normal scenario, then we call it as anomaly based. Both have different advantages and disadvantages. Like in signature based, we used to have fixed signature for each different attack, but in anomaly based, we can have we can able to detect zero-day attacks, but the false alarm rate is very high in case of anomaly based systems. Host based, we talk about like at which place the detection system is placed. So whether it is placed on every host or whether it is placed on one machine which is taking, considering, or looking into the packet transfer over the whole network. So in the second case, we call it as network-based detection system. So these are a couple of signature-based or rule-based methods that people used earlier. The snort was the major utility people used. So where we have predefined rules and signatures, and snort is free and open source intrusion prevention and detection system. So here I have specified one rule like alert ICMP if the ICMP message is ICMP flood, and these are the couple of rules like count is 500 within 3 seconds. So this is the rule that we have specified for detecting ICMP flood over a system. Another thing is IP tables that people use at each host. And then this is the command line utility to configure the kernel packet filtering tools. Like one rule we have written is like input is TCP, and we are limiting the connections. If we have connection more than 80, then this reject with that, then basically reject for the TCP connections. So this is IP tables which are being configured for each host to avoid multiple open connections. Now, next comes, so this was the earlier traditional way of specifying rules for each different attack, defining the signatures. Now, machine learning based solutions come up when we have the data about whole, like what the normal scenario and what different attacks. And in these scenarios, what basically machine learning based solution works is like we define a problem, basically in what kind of attack we are going to detect. We collect the data wherein we have a system setup, and during that system, we specify what different attacks we can perform over the network using the utility that I showed earlier. And then with those time duration, we are basically preparing the data and labeling that. Like during this time, we have kind of denial of service attack we followed. So this way we prepare the data. Once we have the data prepare step, we clean that out and then train the model, because now we have the labels. Once we train the model, then we evaluate, like based on the model aspects, what the different metrics are showing whether it's a good model or it's a bad model, and where the improvement are. And once we know like it's a good model, we deploy and then further improve on that by recorrecting the labels or recorrecting the data or introducing more features, I would say. Yeah. So this is the general pipeline. On the right hand side, you can see once we have the data set, this is the process that we follow, like what kind of features we need to consider. Then we need to discretize the features, encode them, scale them, use the dimensionalization step wherein we reduce, we pick up only those features which are relevant, and then train the model and store that into model stores. So this is the machine learning based method, wherein the major step is the data preparation. So to avoid that, people have various data sets available specifically for each different attack. So this is a history on that. DARPA 1998 data set is quite old, which was developed by MIT Lincoln Laboratory. Then KDD Cup data set was specifically used in third KDD competition, and these are the attack classes: DOS, probe, user to root, and root to local. Then multiple different other data sets come up over the time period. You can get more information on that. The recent one that is available is CIC-IDS, which is recently developed by Canadian Institute of Cybersecurity. So, and DDoS specific data is available, which is 2019 one. So these are the recent data sets which people are using for the research purpose, as well as these data sets are created on the test lab by setting up a big network and applying those attacks using the different utilities as I talk about. Now, when we are talking about detection, basically method has to be based on two different levels. We need to select whether we are going to detect at packet level or flow level. So if we are talking about packet level, basically we are capturing the packet level information. If you see on the right side, we have a network packet which is defined into multiple different layers, like layer 2 in Ethernet, layer 3 IP, layer 4 transport layer, and application layer. So what we do is like we are taking the raw data from the packets and then generate the label based on the tag timing, and then capture the features, like what features we can capture, like what's the size of that data, or what's the header information, what is the application data talk about, and what are the or various statistical features also can be captured here. Now using this, once we have the data set available, then use the deep packet inspection on the encrypted networks. So that's the packet level detection. Major advantage is we are going through each different packet individually, but on the other hand, since the network are increasing, are becoming super fast now, to detect those attacks in minimal time is really a challenge. So to avoid that, we have flow level detection, wherein we are capturing flow level information on the discrete time windows. So on the right, you can see like we can capture the information on the specified window. Let's suppose 15-second window size we have taken, and then we aggregate those information on the 15-second window, like let's suppose how many number of bytes per second has been transferred, or how many packets per second has been transferred, what is the flow inter arrival time. So these kind of features we accumulate on the same way that we previously did, but now it's on the each specifically window and aggregated values we have accumulated, and then we use these features to build the machine learning model. So advantage is now we have less data to process, and on the other hand, we have flow level records, so it can handle the scenario for the encrypted networks as well. So that's a good part of flow level detection. So the data set that I showed earlier is mostly they have the two different sets available, which is at packet level and also at flow level. Now with the traditional ML, what was the limitation? So if we see the earlier slide, we have various steps wherein we extract the feature, and then once the feature extracted, we do dimensionality reduction and then process it for a machine learning model. So feature selection is a major step here. Like traditional approaches rely completely on feature selection. How good your feature is deciding on how better your model is. Now, on the scalability aspect, the traditional approaches are non-scalable with respect to big data because the problem of overfitting happens. In hyperparameter tuning, we need to tune so many hyperparameters in the previous step, like depending upon the algorithm that we select, and like if we are selecting kernel based, what kind of perfect kernel we have to use, what's the optimization parameter that we need. So we need to take care on all these aspects when we are building a model. In hierarchical representation, it actually is missing in most algorithms. In somewhere it is specified, but it is missing in most of the, suppose in rule-based systems. Yeah. So to avoid those limitations, what has recently come up is deep learning algorithm. So what we can give is like we give a raw input data deep learning algorithm and find out what output is received or what are the labels are getting predicted. So let's talk about more on deep learning, how it evolved. So AI is the superset of all the specifically machine learning or deep learning methods. So earlier AI-based systems were developed, which were basically rule-based. People were developing the various different languages like Prolog to specify the information on specifically on the rules, and then using the deduction from those rules by various different methods. Then machine learning bring up at 1980s, wherein people think of using the data as a power and then building this specifically different kind of models, let's suppose rule-based or the tree-based models or the kernel-based methods they developed. And then after 2010, there is the era of deep learning, wherein what people thought of like building a model which is self-learning, or which is basically including the complex rules which is learning internally and which mimic the human brain. So that was a deep learning talk about. We will talk it more on the each method that we have. So we will talk about a couple of machine learning methods here. So on the right side, you can see I have a figure which is basically depicting the deep learning method. So each round units are neurons, and each round unit is specifically each unit which is processing the data. So deep learning is class of machine learning algorithm which is having many layers of processing as shown on the right, and each successive layer is using output from the previous layer. So because of since each layer is interconnected and each unit is connected to each other, so we are able to learn high level features or the complex features from the low level features basically. So deep learning algorithms are based on distributed representation as shown. Observed data are generated by interaction of factors, which is organized in different layers. And then in this field of machine learning, we are basically mimicking the brain, how the brain works. With each neuron, it is interconnected with each multiple different neuron. And then finally, we have an organ to identify, like if it's a eye, we are able to identify whether the image is car or a bus or a building or a cycle. So deep learning refers to AI, artificial neural network, that is composed of many layers as I showed here. Now, what are the different various methods that people use in deep learning specifically for attack detection? So in unsupervised, people use deep belief network, autoencoder, generative adversarial network. In supervised method, deep neural network or multi-layer perceptron, convolution neural network, recurrent neural network, and there are also a couple of methods which are using both of them. So we call it as hybrid mechanism. Further, let's see how couple of model works. So in previous, once we have the label data, now what we are doing is we are applying each different modeling technique to learn the model aspect, and which can able to predict what kind of incoming flow or what kind of incoming packet it is, depending upon the data. So deep neural network is based on back propagation algorithm. This basically once the information flows from forward to backward, we estimate how much the error is, and then on the back propagation, we reduce errors based on a couple of other mathematical computation. So these neurons, as I talk about round units, are the computation entities. At each layer we compute the activation function, which is basically specifying on how each neuron is activated. And what we do is we adjust weights or the error using gradient descent algorithm. We increment or decrement the each weight vector by the residual error and the learning weight. So on the right side, if you see this is one neuron, x1, x2, x3, x4 plus 1 is the input, and hx is basically the output from that neuron. Now hx is ultimately converted to specific range like 0 to 1 by applying the activation function, and using this activation function basically we are further reducing the residual error and finding the based on and finding how much weight each neuron needs to be given. So on the general, the whole mechanism is represented as WTX plus B. So this is like W1X1 plus W2X2 plus W3X3 and plus some bias. So this is the Y value. Y is the outcome and X's are the inputs. So this Y, we pass it to the activation function, and then we estimate the error, and weights are estimated using gradient descent algorithm. So more information can be given. Pardon. Okay, so this way, if you see here, each of the x1, x2, x3, these are the records of the features that are coming up, and for each different features or for each different specific flow of record, we are learning the model. Now there can be another way wherein, let's suppose we are considering the time sequence into account, like on different times various different features are coming. Now if we can deduce, like first if at the time step 1 this was the feature value, and it on the subsequent times it is changing. Let's suppose the bytes per second is increasing over the time period of, let's suppose, 5 different time steps, then possibly it's a denial of service attack. So to mimic those behavior, we have a recurrent neural network into deep learning. So this is a neural network with directed cycle. So xt and xt plus 1, xt plus 2. So these are the values that are coming up at various time steps. Now at these each different units is internally handling how much value or what they are into outputting based on xt, and then here output is based on the previous 2 values. Here the output is based on previous 3 values. So if we need to modeling the problem into different time steps, RNN are the best methods or the natural way for predicting the sequential data. So how it works, basically it internally contains various different gates. Now information that is flowing gets into cell whenever its write gate is on. So it has multiple different gates, and then information is stays in the cell till the time the gate is on, and it can read from the cell by turning on its read gate. So read gate, update gate, and write gate are multiple different gates. I'm not talking more into those detail, but for specific problem which we need to model the sequential data, the recurrent neural networks are best. On the other line, RNN, on the other advances, we have LSTM, which basically reduce problems from the recurrent neural network that we are having. So LSTMs, and then further we have bi-LSTMs and other models which are more complex than this, and subsequently have been developed over the time period and being used in the detection systems to improve on the accuracy or the reducing the false alarm rates. Yes. So these two models that I talk about are majorly based on the supervised learning methods. Now, in case of unsupervised, I will talk about next two different models. Let's suppose in autoencoded, so these are the unsupervised mechanisms wherein we leverage neural network for representation learning. So if you see in the input layer, some data is coming and then we are transforming this input layer to the lower dimension. So this, and then from this representation, we are learning the same values that we have on the output layer. So if we are building this kind of model, we can learn the intermediate representation here, which can which is the basically reduced form of all the input features. So this has been used for representation learning. So encoder is mapping the input into the code, and decoder is basically using that code to reconstruct the same input. So the major use cases are dimensional reduction as well as representation learning for classification tasks. Now, two ways we can use reconstruction error base. Now, this representation, in case of suppose we are giving a normal data, we have a representation, we are learning this representation. Now, if we are giving the attack data, in those case, the representation that we have learned will be deviating so much, and based on this representation error, we able to identify whether attack happens or not. So these reconstruction error based methods work in those scenarios wherein we train autoencoder only on the normal traffic, and then during execution we estimate what the reconstruction error is, and if it is higher than the threshold, then we call it as some attack activity is present. In triplet loss space, this is like we run two encoders here in this scenario, one encoder for normal traffic and another for attack traffic, and then use this triplet loss function to identify the attacks. Like this loss is suggesting for the incoming traffic how much is deviating from the normal and how much is deviating from the attack scenario, and what the loss is total about. Okay, another major unsupervised model that has been used these days is generative adversarial networks. So what it is talking about, it's a novel generative model by learning the data distribution and represent it as latent variables. So it generates the candidates while distributed network evaluate them. So it contains of two major networks. One is generator and another is discriminator. So we provide the normal random, the real data to discriminator, and it is identify. So training objective is to increase the error rate of the discriminative network. This way the generator trained based on whether it succeeds in fooling the discriminator. So what we do is we introduce some noise on the generator side, and then discriminator is trying to discriminate between the real data and the false data. So this model is basically used for oversampling strategy, because in current scenario we have very less data specific to attacks. So to increase the data set into multiple different to oversample that, we use the generative adversarial network, because malicious packets are extremely less with respect to the normal packets. So GAN are used for oversampling. So these are a couple of methods that I talk about over the short talk. So these are a couple of research areas that people have been working on specific data sets, as well as the different models have been developed over this. So let me have any question if you have. Yeah, thanks.
Hi, Ritesh. Thank you so much for your wonderful session. It was really very interesting, and I hope everyone here has enjoyed your session. I'll ask the audience that if they're having any question, they can drop the questions in the chat or in the QA session.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.